All right, folks, this one's a lot of fun. I mentioned in a recent video that Donald Trump was crushed in a brutal new Fox News poll, which prompted him to publicly lash out at Fox. But now our favorite Fox News commentator, Jessica Tarlov, was able to take a well-earned and long overdue victory lap and smugly rubbed this poll in the face of her MAGA co-host. And you actually see in one instance, one of her MAGA co-hosts visibly die inside as he pulls out an iPad and desperately searches a Fox News poll, their own network's poll, for some good news for Donald Trump. It's just chef's kiss. It's so great. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we got several clips to look at here, but I'm going to start with this one, just to give you a little taste of what Jessica Tarlov had to deal with yesterday. Okay, so this is her trying to explain to Brian Kilmeade, her MAGA co-host, like, no, the numbers just really are bad for Donald Trump. I'm not making it up, as Kilmeade frantically searches for some good news.
Going back to my initial point, none of these stories are real.
That's not true. There was an American...
On border security gets 55% approval.
We're in immigration, where Brian, I'm not making it up.
Going back to the...
You just see Kilmeade like, God, give me some good news. Please give me some good news. Right. Look at immigration. I'm not making it up. And indeed, she's not. Before we play some additional great clips of Jess taking, again, a well-earned victory lap, I want to give you some context because she directly references this clip I'm about to show you. This is a very dour Brett Baier having to post or announce the news that Fox News' own poll is pretty bad for Trump.
President talking tariffs and the economy. If you look at our new Fox News poll at 100 days job approval compared to other presidents, there you see the president at 44%, and you see his first term at 45% at this mark, the 100-day mark. We have other new polls that are revealing some.
So you see that? So Trump term 2 is 44%. Trump term 1 is 45%. This is very relevant to the next clip I'm going to show you of Jessica Tarlov. Biden kicking Trump's ass at this point in his presidency, 54% approval. President Obama, 62% approval. And President Bush at 63% approval. Okay. Now, again, before this clip I'm about to play, this prompted Trump to lash out. He says, Rupert Murdoch has told me for years that he's going to get rid of his Fox News Trump-hating fake pollster, but he's never done so. This pollster has gotten me and MAGA wrong for years. And also, while he's at it, he should start making changes at the China-loving Wall Street Journal. It sucks. Okay, Trump can't handle it. With all of that set up, here is Jess taking, just again, a well-earned victory lap.
Do you think this is the dry hole we're portraying it as, or do you see some benefit for the Democrats continuing to get behind this guy?
Well, there's definitely benefit to it. And that doesn't mean that I don't think the majority of the emphasis should be on the economy. But if you look at our own latest polling, the Fox poll that came out yesterday, Reuters, YouGov, Quinnipiac, now Donald Trump is underwater on immigration, which was his strongest issue. So he's above on the border, right, and deportations. But generally speaking on immigration, he's underwater. 2-to-1 margins in the YouGov poll that Americans think that Albrego Garcia should be brought back here.
Because they're not getting the information.
No, it's not because they're not getting the information. What they were able to do, actually, is understand contextually what is going on here. So if it's not just about Albrego Garcia, it is about...
What was the question? What was the poll question? I guarantee you...
Now you're a pollster?
No, I'm just saying, I guarantee you it was worded in a way to get an intended answer.
I can guarantee you that our own polling that showed him underwater on immigration was fair, and that the American public thinks that his policies are too harsh. And
okay. Keep that in mind. We're about to play another one here because she references the Brett Baier graphic, and it's so good. So good here.
Up. You know what else? Brett Baier had a beautiful graphic. I might frame it on my wall that had the approval ratings for the last 6 presidents for the first 100 days. Donald Trump is now the lowest. He beat himself. So he was at 45% in the first 100 days of Trump 1.0, and now he's at 44%. His economic ratings have gone down by 20%. The American public don't trust him on cost of living, inflation, all the things he was hired to do. They know the tariffs are a tax on them. The CEOs of Walmart and Target and Home Depot have to go into his office and beg him to stop so that the shelves won't be empty. There are containers coming from China that can't get here because of these tariffs, 145%. Or maybe it's 50%.
What does this have to do with The Maryland dad.
Right.
It has to do with what Trump is doing. And there are all of these GOP appointed judges that are ruling against him, saying a path of perfect lawlessness, brazen example of retaliation.
Put it this way, you're just actually undoing your whole point, Jessica.
No, I'm not.
Because they are focusing on this guy who basically every day we find out. I don't know how he could be underwater. He might be under 50%, but he's not underwater on immigration.
Fine. Reuters, YouGov, Quinnipiac.
I just love it. Like, they're desperate. Sure, he might be unpopular, but he's not underwater on immigration. He is. He is in many, many polls, in an increasing number of polls. He's losing his last polling advantage, which isn't the economy. He sacrificed that several weeks ago. He's losing even on immigration because even though under certain circumstances, in some polling questions, people support the broad notion of deporting undocumented migrants, they want it done humanely. They want violent offenders to be ejected. They don't want people who have been here and lived peacefully and productively to be kicked out. And they certainly don't want due process violated. So even though the American people, I would say, yes, overall have taken a rightward shift on immigration that I think has gone too far, even now, they don't support the authoritarian excesses of Trump, even on immigration. Yes, he's losing ground there, too. And Brian Kilmeade is just desperate not to believe it.
Underwater. He might be under 50%, but he's not underwater on immigration.
Fine. Reuters, YouGov, Quinnipiac. Just honestly,
it's
on
deportation. You agree with that?
But
right.
2-1 that this guy should be returned. Listen,
keep defending a gangbanger all you want.
But you're saying they should emphasize the economy. That's what you're saying.
I understand that you want me to try to unravel everything that I said. The economy is what drives people to the polls. He now only has a 27% rating with Hispanic voters because he's not focused on the economy and their costs haven't gone down.
So are you saying he's going to have a hard time being reelected in 2028?
Right.
Well, he's wearing, Eric Trump is wearing a hat.
And again, know how Dana Perino contributes absolutely nothing to this because she's not as MAGA as Brian Kilmeade or even Kayleigh McEnany, the blonde on the end there, who was a former Trump press secretary. But she's also too dishonest to admit that, Donald Trump really isn't in a good place here. And she's desperate to believe otherwise. So what does she usually do in these situations? Stays quiet as a church mouse. She is the least likely to heckle or say, you know what? Actually, Jessica has a point, right? She's just like, oh my God, I don't really want to be caught red-handed. And I don't want to go as far as Brian and Greg Gutfeld and others, but it's so pathetic. And Jessica is waging a one-woman war on the insanity of Fox News, and always outnumbered, never outgunned.
Greg, this is very similar when Ronald Reagan made titanic changes in the economy. Initially, people panicked,
Donald Trump.
You did. But he's actually doing just as titanic moves.
People who can afford to sit there and say...
At least he's leading the country. Your guy wasn't even...
leading the country into the gutter. He's leading the country into the gutter, indeed. I love it. I love that Jess is able to take this victory lap here. And it's so funny to watch the pure cope just billow out of the pores of Greg Gutfeld, who can't engage with the substance, so he tries to make a joke about it. It falls flat. He's leading the country. And again, Jess is able to steal the punchline from him and redirect it, use it against him. Kilmeade is left pulling out his iPad. Oh, my God. Give me some good news. Okay, he's fine with border security. Okay, a very specific subset of the overall immigration policy. Overall in immigration, he's becoming underwater. He is losing ground because of situations like the Kilmar Borrego Garcia case. That's on Trump. That's a totally self-inflicted wound that he need not have done. And I love how she uses an opportunity to point out on all the other foreign policy, the economy. So then Kilmeade is left to scramble with, Ronald Reagan also had polling issues. Yeah, but Ronald Reagan, we actually had evidence of Reagan's popularity. There has been no evidence, none, of Donald Trump's popularity. He initially came in with a slightly above average, or rather slightly above water approval rating. I shouldn't say above average because he was still the least popular modern president in modern American history. We have evidence for Reagan's popularity. You are taking as an article of faith that this man who is historically unpopular, who has never been particularly popular, who didn't even win the popular vote this time around on a majority. He won it by a plurality. He couldn't even get a simple majority of voters to vote for him. You were taking it as an article of faith that he will somehow pull a Reagan-like accomplishment and, walk out of office with a sky-high approval rating. There's no reason to believe that. Is it possible? Sure, but maybe you should provide evidence. And so I love it. I love the look on Kilmeade's face as he's scrambling to look for something. I love Jessica saying that big, beautiful banner on Brett Bayer's And again, Brett Baer very sad about reporting this, and she wants to frame it. I love it. I think it's hilarious. And that's probably, again, a long overdue, well-earned victory lap by Jessica Tarlov. And I'm glad she took it. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.